Welcome back to another episode of Brunch with the Fellas, bringing you the latest trending topic news and entertainment. I'm Chef Earl Pearl at DB Chef TV, always with me, Primo Grande, the one and only Code C's. And Code C's is not going to be with us tonight because he is traveling the seas with his honey breeze. And shout out to them. Enjoy yourself, family. Y'all taking some of that sunshine for me. We got some topics tonight we're going to go ahead and jump into. But before we do that, y'all, make sure to like and share this video. Also, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. So when we go live, you never miss an episode of Brunch with the Fellas. Also, don't forget to check out www.com BK Soul Farm and pick up your copy of 1016 160 Self Sustainability by Ali Dawood L at BK Soul Farm. Make sure y'all go check that out and grab that, y'all. It's springtime, so you can spring into action and get your garden right, get you some self-sustainability. Link is in the description. And also, right now, y'all, subscribe to DB Chef TV on YouTube and win $100. Put your name in the hat. You rock with us. So we want to show you some love, and we're going to do that. Matter of fact, this Sunday on Cigar Sundays Live, we're going to be announcing the winner of this month's $100. So go ahead, put your name in the hat, subscribe to that, and we appreciate y'all for that, and much love. And also, we got merch, y'all. We got the merch. Go ahead and check out the merch. Links in the description. And if money's tight, it's all right. You can do something free and just smash the like. We're going to go ahead and jump into these trends that we got for tonight, y'all. So first, we're going to take a trip to Florida. We got Florida's dirty restaurant serving spicy bourbon roaches. That's what's on the menu. They got bourbon roaches, spicy Cajun bourbon roaches. All right. And we're going to go check out that story. Then we're going to head down to Texas and see Round Rock jewelry store robbery, man. It's crazy. They got the Round Rock jewelry store robbery. That was a crazy story, y'all. Like, it was wild. But we're gonna go check out that. And then we got Kylie Jenner being sued for alleged discrimination. We're gonna go and see how valid that is. With Kylie Jenner being sued. Then we got AI tool, ChatGPT. We know everybody out here using ChatGPT for everything. It is under criminal investigation. How can the AI tool, a AI machine, a machine learning tool, shout out to the guy who told me what machine learning is. How could ChatGPT be under criminal investigation? Can you investigate an AI? Can we put a whole computer on trial? Well, we're gonna find out, y'all. We're gonna go check that out. And then fifth and final, last but never least, Trump says, "Don't rush me to end this war in Iran. I know what I'm doing. That's why I'm in charge." Okay, so we're gonna go and listen to Trump pop that talk, and let's go ahead and get into these videos so we can break them down.
A South Florida woman says she found something horrifying mixed into her meal, a roach in her food.
Oh, it just makes your stomach turn. She recorded it, reported it, and within a day, inspectors shut that restaurant down. Local 10 News investigator Jeff Weinsteer has tonight's dirty dining report.
I was lost of words. I was
dirty.
God.
Among Bianca Gutierrez's bourbon chicken and noodles,
And I was like, that's not a vegetable.
something with legs and antennas.
Juliet. That's a roach.
Look at that, y'all. That's a roach. It's roach noodles. But you know what though? We might be overreacting because in certain places, you know, roaches are served. Chocolate covered roaches, you know, maybe even honey bourbon roaches, maybe even General TSL roaches, maybe even, I don't know, sesame roaches. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. You know, would you rock with, you know, with some roach noodles? Cause this add a whole different thing than top ramen right here. This put those rice noodles right there. You know, that's a whole different swing on the meal. But that is nasty for real. That is super nasty. But we're gonna get into it.
In my food.
Disgusted. Very disgusted.
She says it happened last week right here in the Pembroke Lakes Mall food court. The food from Kelly's Cajun Grill. She took it right back to the counter.
Yeah, they were shocked as well.
They apologized. They gave her a refund. Bianca went home, sent us the video, and immediately filed a complaint with the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation. The very next day, an inspector showed.
I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. That shit look nasty. That look nasty right there. That don't even. Oh, what is that right there? That don't even look good. I mean, never mind the roaches, but I'm just saying that just ain't even a plate. I'm just going. When I pop that open, I'm like, oh, look how this look. I don't know. That's me. That don't look good though. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
The Business and Professional Regulation. The very next day, an inspector showed up, ordered Kelly's Cajun shut. And among the 5 violations, the inspector noted roaches right on top of a prep table in a rear food prep area.
What happened?
The manager remembers it well. She gets someone on the phone, and when she gets off,
Nobody to talk to. Nothing to say? No. Okay, here's my card. If somebody from corporate wants to talk to us.
no call back to us. As for Bianca, she says she'll be eating at home until she can get this image out of her head.
The roaches.
Down to Westchester and right into the Palm Plaza at 7917 Northwest 2nd Street and Sushi Cafe. Last week, an inspector found 31 violations inside this kitchen. We asked to see a manager.
Rodent issues, fly issues, roach issues.
What was that, y'all? What was that right there? What'd he do? Hold on, let's watch this real quick. Let's run this back right quick. What'd he do? He put up a little X. What that X was? Let's see.
Issues. Nothing to say.
He bowing out gracefully. Hold on, that wasn't the X. What's this little X thing he did though? He did some type of little X stuff. Let's see what he got right here.
To see a manager.
Rodent issues, fly issues.
What's that, y'all? What's this right here? What's this?
Roach issues. Nothing to say.
The inspector found more than 35 rodent droppings right under the sushi counter, next to and in between coolers in the sushi bar area. Live roaches were crawling under equipment. Dead roaches were under the sushi bar. There was mold in the ice machine. There was old food debris across the floors and equipment. Despite telling us no comment, he comes back out again.
If you want to talk to me, we can do it off camera, off the record.
Why would I talk to you off the record? The record is right here. I mean, you.
Look at his face though. He said, "Why would I talk to you off the record?" Look, he looked like he was slap him, don't he? He look like he was smack. He just was smack him. Like, why would you say that? You see, I just gave you the little X thing, like whatever that was supposed to be, and then he walked off. And for real, with the question that we want to ask you is, why are you not cleaning up? What's going on with your staff at the sushi cafe that y'all are not cleaning up? What's the problem? Why you not running a clean dining facility? Why isn't sanitation a priority? That's the question that we asking. Why isn't foodborne illnesses? See, I know about this, y'all. This DBCHEFTV, I got over 23 years of culinary experience in safety, food service safety, and sanitation. Okay. So I ain't just on here just talking about something I think. I know about this right here. If we wanted to run a restaurant, the food gonna be good and you could eat off the floor and everywhere else, because all this is for them not to have them roaches. All they gotta do is be cleaning up each and every night. It's saying just like at the end of the night, you clean up your dishes, right? It's the same type of situation. You know, every now and then you might go to bed with a couple dishes in the sink. You know, you might just have a little something. Maybe you had some ice cream or something, or you heated up something, and okay, boom, all right. But for the most part, your zinc is clean when you go to bed. That's something you learn in the hood, right? So even people who running businesses don't even have. They don't even care about y'all coming in there spending them high ass prices on this food because of this economy, and they just like, you know what, we don't care if you get some type of uh food-borne illness or some type of bacteria or something jump on you. We don't even care about it. You know, we just gonna do this right here, and that's gonna be that. And you know, we talk to you off camera. It's wild.
You serve people food, you have a responsibility. Why would I want to talk to you off the record?
Absolutely.
Don't you think you owe the public an explanation?
Absolutely. But
Later in an email, management here claimed immediate action was taken and they have reinforced staff training, but only after an inspector ordered them shut.
The owner can answer all your questions, okay?
He goes to get the owner. This is our last stop. It's across from the Magic City Casino. An inspector was at Don Cameron Seafood Grill and Market. It's at 501 Northwest 37th Avenue. An inspector was here based on a complaint. 33 violations were found last week, and this place was ordered shut. The inspector noted roaches crawling in a seafood prep area, crawling near a sink, under tables. Dead roaches spotted along the cook line and in prep areas. Flying insects were landing on dining room tables and prep tables as well.
The owner have your number.
He comes back out, says the owner is not here and will be in contact. Through a PR company, we did get a statement from the owner claiming they take this seriously. Corrections were made. Quote, we've also brought in an independent food safety expert to help strengthen our process moving forward. All those places we just talked about and mentioned were allowed to reopen following an ordered cleanup and then a reinspection.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's super duper crazy, and super duper dirty. So, you know, just sharing with y'all, yeah, like I can't, you know, like we used to do in the military. This is how serious it is. In the military, you have what's called a galley inspection, a dining facility inspection. And this happens every single week. Okay. And you have somebody coming through there. I'm talking about checking the coffee maker, checking the toaster for crumbs, checking the serving line for, you know, to make sure it gets up to temperature, to make sure that, you know, the pans are clean, that if you store, if, you know, wherever your storage is, making sure the temperature in the reefers and the refrigerators and the freezers and everything, it, you know, is up to snuff and up to temp and everything. So these things in the civilian world, when you go to these restaurants, they had this thing called a food sanitation grade. So the food sanitation grade is one of these things where, like, you know, when the inspector's coming. So a lot of times what they do is they do all that cleaning and stuff. They clean up everything and get it all up to snuff just to get the grade. And then once they get the grade, then they slack off. So you don't know, as a person who's going to these restaurants, you don't know when the last time they got their grade. You just see it up in the window, but you don't know how long ago that was, and then what's going on with the practices, how they run in their daily operation. You know, so like the young lady said that, you know, she gonna be eating at home a lot. Shout out to that. I recommend a lot of folks, man, eat at home for real, you know, or like you know, order some pizza or something like that. You know, something simple. I don't know, but you know, make your own pizza at home. That's a fun thing to do too. You know, if you got babies, you know, or it's you and your lady, you know, or whatever your relationship look like, you and your spouse, you and your significant other, your loved one, then you know, yeah, y'all make pizza. That's a fun thing, you know. You can make pizza one night. And anything else that you want to have, it's a YouTube video for that, where you can just go and check that out, and yeah, and get your chef on. But be mindful of that, y'all, when y'all go to these restaurants, man. Some of these places be dirty, you know, that whole experience. So let's head on over to Texas. We're gonna head down to Texas, man, and check out this Round Rock jewelry store robbery.
Tonight, we're getting our first look at surveillance video from a violent jewelry store robbery in Round Rock. Police say suspects smashed display cases and sprayed an employee with pepper spray. KVU's Brianna Perez spoke with the store owner about those terrifying moments.
Display cases shattered, boxes left behind, but the jewelry gone. This was the aftermath Tuesday afternoon at Mark Robinson Jewelers inside the Round Rock Premium Outlets after a group of thieves robbed the store.
We've been here over 12 years. This has never happened to us in 12 years. It was heartbreaking that something like this could happen and youngsters could actually come in, try to rob us.
Owner Shahrazad Lakanwala, also known as Sunny, says it was just before 1 p.m. No customers were in the store. And that's when about 8 people entered wearing masks and gloves. And then pepper sprayed an employee. Then began smashing display cases with hammers.
So let me say this, y'all. Like, okay. Let's run this back a couple seconds right here. So they said they came in, they sprayed the guy with the mace. All right. And then they proceed to do this.
An employee then began.
Okay, so they break it. So now you see these two fools, these two idiots right here, breaking the glass, right? Now, this how stupid, we don't condone. What up, cuz? What up, Bug? Make sure to smash that like button, Bug. I see you in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, baby. They are hitting the glass right now. If we could look, we can't zoom in right here, but right there on the back of this showcase, right? This is a regular showcase. Shout out to Nana V, my mom. We used to have stores growing up. Mom used to be selling jewelry and all types of stuff going on, man. And we had these little showcases and things like that. She put in there bridal accessories, hats, all that type of stuff, right? So right there in the little back, that little lock right there, if you with the force, you see how he got that hammer up here like this, like he just finna, I think they get some type of kick out of smashing the glass, because all you would have to do is go around there to the back. You could walk around. There ain't no resistance. You see this cat right here. They not even trying to go in and say, they see he like, they ain't even asking about the safe. That's how he looking at. He like, and that's the whole safe right there. So they ain't even trying to get whatever's behind there. They just trying to smash and grab. All right. He walking off. He's safe. They ain't posing no threat to harm nobody. All right. But if they went around to the back of the cabinet, once again, not condoning criminal activity, but just showing you how stupid this is, because they're going to get caught. They could have went around to the back, and that little lock that's right there, with that same amount of force, he could have hit that and bop, and then just slid that little joint back and scooped everything in the bag. I'm talking about and just got everything. But this is what we see, the foolery, the ignorance. That's what we call it. And I don't know the ethnicity of none of these folks in here, that's doing this, that's committing this stuff. But I'm just saying, it's still ignorance, man. This is tomfoolery at its highest capacity. Like this is wild. And they breaking the glass. What I'm really confused about is why break the glass? Like, what is this whole break the glass? Like, you gonna be in and out faster because you breaking the glass? And now they look like they got on rubber gloves or with the plastic. Now you picking up all this glass and the merch. You scratching up the merch. You scratching up the goods. It's crazy, but it is some foolery, man.
Smashing display cases with hammers. The employee coughing, while another employee comes out from the back room with a handgun.
Get out! Get
The suspect
And they lucky. They lucky because he could have popped at him just for GP and he wouldn't have been wrong. So they got lucky. But they know they got insurance. That's why they ain't trying to kill nobody. And they still gotta move them watches or whatever it is that they took.
ran away, fleeing in a stolen vehicle that police later found abandoned at an apartment complex nearby.
I'm sure they had scouted before. They already knew exactly what cases to go hit. They took in a lot of merchandise. We are the only store in Austin, Texas that carry up to about 110 pre-owned Rolexes in stock. I would say about 50 or 60 of them was gone.
Sonny says millions in merchandise was stolen, but his only worry was the health and safety of his employee.
His eyes was all blurry and red and stuff, but paramedics came and took care of it. He's okay now. But everybody else is safe, and they're actually trained to walk away at any situation like that because our cops and the security system will do the rest.
But as the investigation continues, Sonny says he's confident police will track down the suspects.
This is day in, day out. We know people who are hungry will try to come snatch, and they will get caught. You don't see a security guard in the front of the store, does not mean the store is not secure. So please save yourself a trouble of going through something like this. There's no easy way to success. Work hard, and you will find success anyways.
And while the jewelry can be
There's no easy way to success. Work hard and you will find the success. I think we just had the American dream on Cigar Sundays live last Sunday. And the American dream in that definition was work hard, you'll find success. Same thing. It's crazy. It's no easy way.
Placed. Sonny says the message is simple. Crime like this won't pay. In Round Rock, Brianna Bettis, KV News.
And Round Rock police say the vehicle was reported stolen out of Humble near Houston. Anyone with information about the robbery is urged to contact Round Rock police.
Yeah, call the police, y'all, if y'all know something. Cause they going to prison. You best believe that. What we got in the comments? Shout out to Bubble and Brown pulling back up. We ain't seen you in a minute. Bubble and Brown said most of the time those doors on the display cases are locked. That's true, but that's why if you hit them with a hammer, they'll break easier than the glass will. The glass is pretty thick. Display case glass is really thick. It's like that beveled glass. It's usually really thick. And because those cases are heavy, you know, like I was saying earlier, like when Nana V used to have a shop. That's my mother, y'all. And we used to have shops, you know. I had to move some of them in my younger days when I could lift some, you know, with help, of course, you know, and those the glass is the heaviest part. You know, the wood of the structure is fairly light, but that whole case enclosure, that glass is heavy because it's pretty thick. Okay, so that's the reason why they have to hit it so many times for it to break. It's not like a car shield windshield, you know, or matter of fact, it's like windshield. It's like car windshield, but it's not like car windows. You know, you could hit a car window and it might break with a hammer or something like that. It'll break pretty quick, but because it's so thin. But those showcases are thick. So, you know, hitting the lock and knocking the lock off is a faster route to get in there. You know, like even if we lost the key, and let's say because they lock. So even if you lost the key and it locked, then applying the hammer to, and once again, we're not encouraging no thievery, but I've had those showcases. I've what you call filled those showcases and locked them, and you know, and replenished those showcases when we sold things out of them. So I understand that the showcase glass is thick. And a lot of times them little like you said, the doors on the back, a lot of times they flimsy. you know, and even if you got them thick, that little lock that's on it, if you hit it and knock it off, you know, you can pull that up off of there real quick, slide everything back. You don't even have to break the case and do all that dumb stuff that they doing. But yeah, it's wild though. But like the guy said, you know, there's no quick path to success, and you know, you're gonna get caught. So he said he gonna let the popos and his security cameras do their work, and that's what's gonna happen. And you know, they probably gonna get caught. I ain't even gonna say probably. It's probably only a matter of time, because now they gotta move the watches, and that right there is gonna be a thing too. So we'll see how that turns out. But they got insurance, so you know they're gonna make out all right. All right, y'all. Let's head out to LA now. We got Keeping Up with the Kardashians. One of the baby girls, Kylie Jenner, being sued for an alleged discrimination. At least that's what the news say. That's what the allege is. But we're gonna go check it out, y'all. We want to check it out and see what's going on, because we want to check out what's going on. I'm a little biased. I don't think Kylie Jenner got nothing going on. It's too crazy.
Kylie Jenner is being sued by a former housekeeper who alleges the beauty mogul's team harassed and discriminated against her for her race and religion. In documents obtained by E! News, Kylie's former housekeeper, Angelica Vasquez, filing a lawsuit April 17th in Los Angeles Superior Court against the Kylie Cosmetics founder, as well as 2 limited liability companies and 25 individuals who have yet to be identified, alleging she was subjected to severe and pervasive harassment while working for Kylie in her Hidden Hills residence from September 2024 to August 2025. Angelica alleges in the court docs that as a Salvadoran woman and practicing Catholic, she was routinely assigned the most difficult and undesirable tasks, excluded from the housekeeping team, publicly belittled and humiliated in front of coworkers due to her race, national origin, and religion, and subjected to intimidation and demeaning treatment. She says this alleged treatment created a toxic and abusive work environment, and that no remedial action was taken by any supervisors who witnessed this. When she did raise concerns, the docs say her complaints were dismissed, mocked, or ignored, with Angelica allegedly experiencing increased workload, reduction of scheduled hours, false accusations and disciplinary warnings, continued public humiliation, and hostile verbal and physical conduct. The complaint also alleges things turned violent in March 2025 when an unnamed supervisor threw hangers at her feet while reprimanding her. All these actions, Angelica claims, caused her to develop anxiety, severe stress, and symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, requiring her to take medical leave in July 2025. When she returned to work, the alleged hostile conditions continued per the docs, and the working conditions became so intolerable she had no choice but to resign. In addition to punitive damages, Angelica is seeking restitution damages in the form of unpaid wages, meal and rest period premium pay, unreimbursed business expenses, unpaid sick leave, and all other compensation unlawfully withheld. It's important to note Kylie is not specifically called out in the complaint by name as participating in the alleged behavior against Angelica. However, she is listed as a defendant in the case. E! News reached out to Jenner's rep for comment and has not heard back.
Man, okay. So, like we always know, you know what I'm saying? It's cool to have a little to have a little title that says, hey, you know, Kylie Jenner is going through this, right? But in a real way, it don't sound like Kylie had nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's just that, you know, she might be guilty by association. So because it's a family matter, that the housekeeping or the help or the nanny or whatever that person's capacity was, you know, just get to throw the biggest name out there to be able to draw some attention to it. So, you know, you got my attention, right? But at the same time, you know, we keep it solid over here, man. We not putting nothing on nobody. And then we understand some things too, like from the complaint said like somebody threw some hangers at her feet. Like it didn't even, that's the difference between throwing some hangers at your feet versus, not saying that that's right, okay, but maybe the person didn't intentionally throw the hangers at her feet. I don't know. You know, I wasn't there. But I'm just saying though, like throwing some hangers at your feet, like you mad about that they almost? Are you mad that it almost touched you, or you mad that they didn't touch you? What happened? You know, that's what I'm trying to figure out for that to be in a complaint. And then, you know, being teased and picked on and all. I don't know what that was about. You know, maybe somebody was, you know, they got a lot of money over there. So, you know, maybe somebody was throwing some blueberries at her or some fruit, you know, some raspberries or some blackberries or something like, hey, pick this up, clean this up. Because they said they cut her hours, but then she had to work more. So that's like, okay, you have a staff and you have somebody in charge of the staff. So when she came to work, she just got tasked with more things in a shorter amount of time. So, you know, once again, I'm biased because I've been in the military and stuff like that happen, you know, where you know, we may have a high op tempo at a time and you may be tasked with more to do than you're normally having to do. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta step up to the challenge and to the plate for to get your plate, you know, to get your paycheck, because that's what you know, that's what you're required. That's the mission. That's the assignment. That's what you showed up to do. You came to work, right? And that's not taken away from if somebody talked down to her or made her feel less than. But you gotta remember, like you in housekeeping though. You know, that's not to say that housekeepers are supposed to get treated like the owner of the house, but I mean, you gotta understand your position in the rank and file of things. You know, some people ain't gonna agree with that, but I'm just keeping it solid. You know, Cold Seasons ain't here tonight to give me no pushback on that either. To be like, Pearl, you tripping? You know, you supposed to treat your housekeeping, you know, like they own the house. You know, I would disagree. I'm just saying, like, they to help, and it's kind of like you do these things that I need you to do, and you get paid, and that's the arrangement. So, you know, not that you have to be a ass bucket about it. You know what I'm saying? But personalities is different from the people you work for. You know, if you're working for a family, then you know who is cool, who's nonchalant, who is, hey, can you please do this, and hey, go do this now. You know, it's a difference. So, you know, it don't seem like Kylie Jenner really did nothing, because they not alleging that she did anything. They just got her name in it. And, you know, I don't really know what the attachment is, but they ran the story. So we just trying to break it down, understand it a little bit more. But yeah, it don't seem like Kylie Jenner had too much to do with, you know, doesn't seem like she was the rude one in the group, you know, in the alleged group. So that's crazy though. They is throwing that dirt on her name. So, you know, put some respect on Kylie Jenner's name, and we gonna keep it pushing. Cause you know what though? No, we're not gonna keep it pushing. We gonna nannies. So, oh yeah, real quick. So like, who was the best nanny? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Who was the best nanny ever? Right? Was it or housekeeper ever? Was it Mr. Belvedere? Was it Benson? Was it or was it Mrs. Doubtfire? You know, because when I ain't never really see Benson get treated too bad. I ain't never really see, you know, Ben do Mr. Belvedere too bad. You know, and then Mrs. Doubtfire, that was the only time I really ever agree for a man to dress up like a woman. That's just my thing, you know what I'm saying? In my opinion, nothing against nobody who feels enjoyment or decides whatever they gender, you know what I'm saying? It ain't on that. But like that, but he did that because he wanted to be around his kids. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was like, okay, I understand why he had to play that role and dress up and do his thing. You know, so to me, that was the best nanny. You know, that was like, man, I'll do anything to be around my babies. So, you know, shout out to Miss Doubtfire, but it don't sound like that this was one of them Doubtfire situations. This sounded like it was an on-fire situation and somebody trying to get some paper, you know. But maybe she's trying to retire. Maybe she's just trying to, you know, cash out. Maybe they just settle out of court. I think this is something that's going to settle. They probably going to figure out a number and give her some paper. And I don't even think it's going to be hush money. I think it's just like leave us alone money. You know, I think that's what it's like. I think that's some leave us alone, you know, like how much you want to sell your house for type leave us alone money type situation, you know. I think that's what that'll be, but we'll see if it continues. But moving on to what's next on the menu, y'all. We got AI tool ChatGPT is under criminal investigation. How can you even put ChatGPT under criminal investigation? That's crazy. But we're gonna go check that out. Let's go check that out, y'all, because it's wild.
So the Attorney General down in Florida is really cranking up the heat on ChatGPT today, launching a criminal investigation into whether Chat helped a suspect plan a shooting at Florida State University, a shooting that killed 2 people. This is a real escalation, with the AG now saying he's subpoenaing OpenAI, which of course owns ChatGPT, saying that Chat gave the suspect advice on what kind of gun to use, what kind of ammo to use, among other things. Watch this.
My prosecutors have looked at this, and they've told me if it was a person.
Hold up, y'all. This is super crazy. They just said that some crazy put into ChatGPT how to kill, how to what? This is wow. What ammo to use, and man, this is getting out of control. People using ChatGPT for stuff, GTP, GPT, DPG. They getting real DPG with it for real, because this is crazy right here. Let's run that back one more time.
This is a real escalation, with the AG now saying he's subpoenaing OpenAI, which of course owns ChatGPT, saying that Chat gave the suspect advice on what kind of gun to use, what kind of ammo to use, among other things. Watch this.
My prosecutors have looked at this.
So somebody put into ChatGPT how to do a crime, and ChatGPT gave them the type of weapon to use and how to do it to be effective. Now, what's crazy about this, right? What's super crazy about this is the fact that ChatGPT gave him that, but the person ain't asked how not to get caught. Is that not the dumbest thing you ever heard? So they figured out how to do the crime. They asked AI how to do the crime, ChatGPT how to do it, but they didn't ask ChatGPT how to not get caught. That's the craziest thing ever. Okay. And now we got the Attorney General digging into it. You know, if I'm understanding this right, we're gonna watch the rest of the clip of how to put handlebars on ChatGPT so that way it doesn't give that type of information if people ask for how to commit a crime or how to do. This is wild, y'all. This is where we at, y'all. We in the AI world. We in the AI. It's AI, y'all. It's AI. This is where we going. The bots are coming and everything. They got the Chinese bot Olympics, and we got AI taking over jobs at Amazon, Microsoft, Oracle, this place, that place, you know, people getting fired, you know, but then we also got ChatGPT, you know, giving out instructions on how to do crime, you know, but only how to do it, not how to not get caught, you know. That's stupid.
And they've told me if it was a person on the other end of that screen, we would be charging them with murder. ChatGPT is not a person, but that does not absolve our office, my prosecution team, of our duty to investigate whether or not there is criminal culpability here.
OpenAI tells NBC News in part that ChatGPT is not responsible for this crime. They say the chatbot provided factual responses to questions with information that can be found across the internet and did not encourage illegal activity. Kathy Park is covering this one for us, and that is a really sort of
Okay, but it did not encourage illegal activity, but it did not say, and I think that's the key thing right there. It did not encourage it. It answered a question. It gave answers to a question, inputted into the queue, but it didn't have a thing that said, are you stupid? You're going to get caught. Like, why would you want to even do something like this? So that's what they saying that now, because I always look at these programs, this AI and all this machines and stuff, like machine learning tools and all this stuff like that. I always look at it like it's the people who create these things. I never give credit to, and a lot of my AI geek friends and geek friends, they always kind of be mad at Pearl for having this perspective. But I always say, like, you're the genius because you programmed it. You write the code. You come up with the code and these ideas to make the computer do it. So I'm always going to give credit to you, but for some reason in their brain it's like, but the computer is so blah blah blah, and I guess it's like having a smart pet or having something that you create, like you cook, like you bake a cake or something and it's so delicious, but the cake is so delicious that everybody comes to buy it and everybody loves it. The cookies are so good and everybody loves the cookies. And it's just like, but you came up with the recipe. You bake them for a certain amount of time. You mix the butter with the sugar. You know what I'm saying? Before you even add in the flour, before you even add in your baking soda, baking powder, whatever you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do that first. You have a way that you mix the recipe first. And that's you. It wouldn't be that final end product if it wasn't for your brain programming it, for you coming up with it. So I don't know. It's wild. It's wild. But this is crazy though. Like, and they said, and then he talking about if it was a person, he would charge them with, accessory. It's like, but it's not. And then who do you hold accountable? Or is it just trying to bring awareness so that way now they will program these things to look for stuff like that and say, hey, no, or flag these people. Like what was that movie? Multiplicity or something, like Minority Report, the pre-crimes unit. So maybe this is a transition into the pre-crime unit, where now people putting in the stuff with the AI and the ChatGPT and all that, and it's like, you know what, we're gonna come with the pre-crimes unit now. This is a segue to it. So maybe that's what he's leading off, man. So if he's doing that, shout out to him, because I like preventative measures anyway. I'm a retired Fed, man. That's what I always say. I did 20 plus years for Homeland Security. And I'd be like, I like preventative, man. If we don't have to go through it, then we don't want to go through it. Let's be safe than sorry. So who knows if that's what that's turning into. But that's crazy though. Let's finish this out real quick.
Attention-grabbing comment from the Attorney General. It's dramatic that if this were a person, they would be charged with murder. It speaks to the implications now around AI use, around culpability, around, is it, to OpenAI's point, what can be found on the internet, and the responsibility that some of these companies do or don't have.
Yeah, Hallie, that's absolutely right. I mean, this probe launched by Florida's AG was quite eye-opening, and he kicked off today's press conference kind of reiterating that this gunman last year consulted ChatGPT the day of the shooting. He asked everything, as you mentioned, the type of gun to use, the type of ammo. He even asked if there was a shooting at FSU, how would the country react? And what time is it the busiest in the FSU Student Union? Hallie, we know OpenAI, ChatGPT, it is a form of technology, but the AG reiterated that there are people who designed this product. So this doesn't mean there is no criminal culpability. And he released this statement. It reads in part, Florida law states that anyone who aids, abets, or counsels someone in the commission of a crime, and that crime is committed or attempted, may be considered a principal to the crime. The aider and abettor is just as responsible for the crime as the perpetrator. And Hallie, as a result of this
criminal investigation that has been launched by the office. They also announced that they were issuing subpoenas, including OpenAI's policies and internal training materials regarding threats of harm to themselves and others, along with how the company cooperates with law enforcement. And we should also note that NBC News has reached out to OpenAI for a statement, and the spokesperson did say that in writing in part, last year's mass shooting at Florida State University was a tragedy, but ChatGPT is not responsible for this terrible crime. And Hallie, we should also note that the family for one of the victims of the shooting indicated that they will also be filing charges against OpenAI.
How, if at all, would this affect the open case now into the suspected shooter at FSU?
Yeah, so at last check, this trial for the suspected shooter has been delayed. It is now scheduled for October, so later on this fall. This was because his public defender actually had to bow out for conflict of interest. So once again, the shooter, he has pleaded not guilty. He is facing, however, multiple charges for murder and attempted murder, Hallie.
Absolutely, man. Like he's going to get cooked, like without a doubt, he's absolutely going to get cooked. Because I mean, first of all, like anybody that is plotting on our future of tomorrow, these are young people going to college who are trying to educate themselves and level up in life and trying to, develop a path to be successful, make their parents proud. They went and got high school diplomas. Now they're going to trying to get some college degrees and they're trying to be productive members of society of what they, or their idea of success, whatever they think that is, So, I mean, I don't have too much love for sucker-ish in any type, shape, form that it presents itself. And, I don't know what's going to come out of this. We'll keep our ear to it as far as with the chat GPT thing and them talking about trying to get some type of form of accountability for chat GPT in relation to people typing in criminal activity. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think that Minority Report thing is becoming more and more real, y'all. I really do. I really think that Minority Report thing is becoming really, really more and more real. And fools gonna get caught, man. Like it's not back in the day no more where we don't have cameras and everything like that, like we used to, in the imagery and the and then people telling at an all-time high, will not being scared to to share information, because I don't want to demonize telling, and because there's a line between if you're committing crime and you engaged in it, that's snitching, okay, with your co-defendants, all right. But if you are a victim or you are a person who witnesses something, you're not snitching, okay. You might not be minding your business, but you're not a snitch. You're a person who is actually trying to improve your community and tell what you saw because someone got hurt, or it wasn't something that was positive, peaceful, and productive and culturally. So we need that, but no matter how you feel about it, no matter whatever little corny narratives was going around or whatever, I mean, that's what it is. So chat GPT, y'all, use it carefully, use these tools wisely. We should be trying to use them to improve our earning capacity, to make some money or to be hireable. I personally, I like to use the AI for my little creative processes and stuff like that. But but then I'm also biased, like I'm limited in my use with it. Okay. But we definitely ain't on it where we looking for no crimes, man. Like that's stupid. That's so damn stupid. It's crazy. They gonna get caught. But let's check out some of these comments real quick before we jump to this last topic real quick, y'all. Bubble and Brown said Florence. I forgot about Florence with the Jeffersons. She was sassy. old Flo. But yeah, Flo seemed, but you couldn't hurt Flo feelings though. You couldn't hurt her feelings. You know, her and George, they used to go back and forth at it. You know, she was timing up for him. That's how they called it back in the day. She was timing up for him. But and she would you say she was a housekeeper? She was a housekeeper, not a nanny. But I mean, same thing. Same thing, you know, same thing. Housekeeper, nanny, housekeeper, you watching them babies too, you know, because Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson is out getting the money. I'm sure she watched didn't they have a son or something or a daughter or something? They had some kids. I don't remember they kids. I was finna say then they had Lamont, but Lamont was on Sanford son. They ain't had no housekeeper. So yeah, y'all. But let's go ahead and Lionel. Yeah, there you go, Lionel. But yeah. Florence, they had Lionel. The Jeffersons had their son Lionel. So yeah, like I'm sure, you know, Lionel gave Florence a hard time. I'm sure she helped raise him on that show, you know. And you know, I'm sure he gave her a hard time. I'm sure it was some time she wanted to, because that's probably when the housekeeper could spank you know. That's probably when, you know, because at some point in time, you know, nowadays housekeepers, nannies, they can't discipline the kids. They just got to get abused. You know, if they dump a whole milkshake on your head, like then you just got to deal with that. Hopefully it reflects in your pay, you know. But like back in the day though, nah, your ass got popped. You got towed up. So this ain't back in the day no more. You know, people got a different set of rules. But moving right along, y'all. Trump says, "Don't rush me. Don't rush me to end the war with Iran." You know, like I know what I'm doing, and y'all got to deal with it. How y'all gonna deal with it until y'all ain't got to deal with it no more? So we're gonna go and check this out right quick, cause I got an opinion about this war thing, man. This thing crazy.
We begin this half hour with the war in Iran. And new tonight, President Trump says that he is not considering using a nuclear weapon against that country.
Thank God for that. No nuclear war, y'all. Y'all heard that? Trump said he ain't doing no nukes. Okay. So we ain't got to worry about no nuclear war. That was, you know, we had different little YouTube videos and different places where people be talking about, you know, we on the brink of the nuclear war. The only thing left is a nuclear war that's coming. So at least Trump's saying, and it's, you know, it's hard to listen to politicians because, you know, believe none of what they say and half of what they do type narratives, you know, or mindsets. But at the same time, I don't think he wants a nuclear war with them because of some deeper things we're going to get into, though. Let's watch it.
It comes on the second day of the extended ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. The president also saying not to rush him to end the war. The 17's Washington correspondent Raquel Martin reports some members of Congress say an important deadline is looming.
As the conflict in Iran drags on, a growing number of lawmakers in Washington are asking,
what exactly is he trying to do here? He has up to 60 days to come and explain, and those 60 days are going to be up here very shortly, actually.
60 days, according to the 1973 War Powers Act, is the amount of time the president has to take military action without congressional approval. It's now been 54 days since the U.S. and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury.
There needs to be more congressional involvement.
Republican turned independent Congressman Kevin Kylie is among the conservative voices now backing a vote. This week, 5 Senate Republicans also signaled support.
To try to get an end to this as quickly as possible.
Ultimately, the timeline will be dictated by the commander-in-chief.
According to President Trump, there is no time frame.
Don't rush me.
On True Social Thursday, the president demanded Iran make a deal to extend the ceasefire permanently. He then ordered the U.S. Navy to shoot and kill any Iranian boats suspected of laying down mines in the Strait of Hormuz.
Listen, we have Iran out their knees.
On Capitol Hill, the president's most vocal supporters say vote or no vote, the pressure campaign is working. Some even question if a vote is warranted.
If they put boots on the ground for over 60 days, they have to get approval from Congress.
They haven't done that.
According to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, the president has the power to extend the deadline to 90 days. Senate Republicans have now blocked Democrats' attempts to pass a war powers resolution 5 times.
A South Florida woman says she found something horrible.
Okay, so so man, let me tell y'all something. With that said, right there, with all that said, right there, we can guarantee that this war is going to end when when President Trump is ready for it to end. Okay, because nobody else has a say so in it. They said that they can extend that to 90 days, so they have a night. So the 60-day window is coming shortly. I mean, I think that was maybe 2 days ago. It was 54 days, so we pushing up on that 60-day window, maybe Monday, Tuesday, sometime next week before the end of this month. Okay, and Trump will be able to still extend that for another 30 days to be able to do, so that'll stretch it out to 90. What I'm hearing is everybody needs a deal. Like Iran needs a deal, China needs a deal because of the oil structure and how much of the oil from the Straits of Hormuz, or the energy, let's just say energy, how much of the energy from the Straits of Hormuz goes to Asia, to eastern, the southwestern Pacific part of the world. So everybody needs a deal for that, so they don't have such a strained economy. All right, and then there's this other bigger dynamic too, where we look at a lot of that stuff right there, because it goes to a lot of the manufacturers of the world of products, that is going to cause inflation, because there's a lag effect that happens, when things shut down, kind of like with COVID, y'all. Like we seen COVID, we seen, some prices were having things, and then we saw the money spike, and then we saw prices spike, and it was a lag effect. It took a little time, like, it was cool for a minute, and then and then it was like we woke up one day and was like, why is this so much? And why is that so much? And why? So we're going to see the same thing happen because of this amount of, the resources, the natural gas, the fertilizers, and all that stuff that's coming up out of that region that we need to do other things. It's like what you call like what they call that, like a residual effect. All right, because it's just one thing happening, but then there's all these other things that happen afterwards, that it affects. So I don't know what's going on with that. I try to be mentally and fiscally prepared for these things, and that's what I encourage everybody else to do. That ain't financial advice. It's just look at the bigger picture. I don't say sit on, well, Trump needs to be impeached, or Trump needs to be, if he's not being impeached, all right, if he's not, even if it is saying, because we know now, we've seen what an impeachment is, it just means that you get, you go on trial or whatever, but it doesn't mean you lose your job. So even if Trump was to get impeached, that doesn't mean that he loses his job, that he's not the president. So do your research, do your homework on that, and what we should do, I recommend, is we should just be more attentive of these things that's going on, and pay attention to it and see how it affects the other things, so like if oil can't get out and they use that oil to make plastics and tires and wires and all this other stuff that we use, like how does that affect you? How does that affect you when you got to go to the store and you got to buy stuff now? When you got to buy, paper forks or plastic forks, or, or water bottles, or whatever you got to get, stuff that you need, a toilet bowl cleaner that's plastic and made plastic bristles, like all of this little stuff, it has a like a little chain reaction. It has a domino effect. So, just that's what I will focus on when we see these things. And I wouldn't really trip too hard on whether the war is ending. I would be thankful that we don't have bombs over Baghdad. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't have no bombs that like our only bombs bursting in the air we have is on the 4th of July when we celebrate barbecuing and eating some chicken and some potato salad and having good fun with our family and loved ones, right? So that's a part to be thankful for. But then also just with the residual effects, what these things can happen that we can see going forward that might affect you, might affect your pockets, like the cost of gas. That's hitting pockets right now already. But the residual thing, the cost of food, because when gas go up, you ain't the only person got to pay for it. The folks that bring it in them trucks, they still got to pay more money for their fuel. So the prices and that cost got to get put somewhere, and somebody got to pay for it. Ultimately, it's us, right? So that's the stuff I will be focusing on when I'm looking at this war thing and how it's playing out. And I will be paying attention to the negotiations and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, like, we don't have no control over that, but we can pay it. But what we do have control over is paying attention to how stuff really moving and how it may affect you. So, that's all we had for tonight, y'all. We had if you in Florida, man, like, stay away from the Pines. Now Pembroke Pines a cool place, but I don't know. Right now they serving dirty roaches. They serving roach plates with the noodles. So you might want to be careful with that. But yeah, and then down in Texas, man, they had a Round Rock jewelry store robbery, man. Crime does not pay. You're gonna get caught. You seen how they reacted. They know they had their insurance covered. And besides pepper spray, they didn't come in there to harm nobody. They just came in there to hit they lick. But they're gonna end up paying for that in a little bit because technology is a mofo. Then we had Kylie Jenner being sued for alleged discrimination, and it's crazy how they was just really using her name because it was just like she's the biggest name in the suit. So let's just focus on her name. So, I threw it in the highlights too, though, because I mean she a star. So people be all in everybody business, and I had a little opinion on it, but I don't think she really had too much to do with what was going on because it didn't say she had too much what was going on, but they had her name in it. So guilty by association for alleged discrimination. We'll see how it plays out. ChatGPT under criminal investigation. That's crazy. They said if ChatGPT was a real life human, ChatGPT would be locked up right now, y'all. That's crazy. ChatGPT would be getting hit with conspiracy. So, we'll see if there is some new regulations or some new rules or laws or something implemented in ChatGPT and them AI tools. Just because you can type in to an AI tool how to commit a crime and it'll give you a play. The foolish thing is that they ain't asked how not to get caught. That's but I don't know. Crime is so stupid. But yeah, then we had Trump says, "Don't rush me to end this war with Iran, y'all." And I think I said enough about that. The war gonna be the war, and we just gonna have to endure. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. Don't forget to check us out each and every Friday night at 9 p.m. East Coast time right here. Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, and the one and only Cold Seasons, me Primo Grande, be back with us next Friday. And we want everybody to have a peaceful, positive, and productive rest of your weekend. And make sure y'all to smash that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell So when I go live, you never miss an episode of Brunch with the Fellas. Until next time, peace.
This whole publication is all about going from nowhere to somewhere, right? Being able to stand on something so that you can travel in peace, right? So bksoulfarm.com, 1016 160 self-sustainability. Jump on the list and get yourself together, right? Because it is irresponsible to not even know what responsibility means. So get yourself together, food, clothing, and shelter, protection of that, support your interests, and live.
Love ain't always easy, and we won't stop until we get it right. So bring that ass to the Love Speak podcast. Subscribe today and let your love speak at TLS Podcast. The Love Speak, now streaming on YouTube. You are the key to your financial freedom. So unlock your inner wealth with financial fundamentals at Bows on the Table. Subscribe today and never miss a meal at Bows Podcast. Bows on the Table, now streaming on YouTube. At the Veteran Kettle Podcast, we thank you for your service, support, and sacrifice to our country. Listen to real stories of adversity and triumph as we give our best to honor our vets. Subscribe today and watch episodes now streaming on YouTube at TVK Podcast, The Veteran Kettle.
Sign up for the newsletter and shop merch and clothing at DBCHEFTV.com.